Russia's largest lubricant producer, sensors for Iskander missiles, components for Su-34 fighter jets, equipment for military satellites, all of them hit in a single night from over 1,000 kilometers away. And this is not week 1 of a new campaign. This is day 6 of 40. Ukraine has a plan. It has a schedule. And it is executing that schedule with a precision that Russia cannot intercept, cannot repair fast enough, and increasingly cannot afford. Welcome back. On July 1st, 2026. The same day the CSIS study confirmed 2 million casualties in this war. Ukraine struck 2 targets that tell you everything about where this conflict is heading. Target 1, the Bashneft oil refinery in Ufa, over 1,300 kilometers from the front line. One of Russia's largest producers of lubricants, hit for the second time in a single week. Target 2, the JSC Research Institute of Physical Measurements in Penza, around 600 kilometers from the front. Part of Roscosmos, Russia's state-based agency, this facility produces the sensors that guide Iskander missiles to their targets. The sensors inside Kalibr cruise missiles, the guidance components for the Kh-101. The weapon Russia uses to strike Ukrainian cities from strategic bombers. Without those sensors, Russian missiles cannot find what they are aiming at. Zelensky called this Ukraine's long-range sanctions. That word, sanctions, is deliberate. This is not retaliation. This is not revenge. It is a systematic, scheduled economic campaign designed to make Russia's war machine progressively unable to function. And it is working. Let's establish exactly how bad Russia's situation is right now. Because the scale of what has happened in the past 6 days alone is extraordinary. Of Russia's 10 largest strategic oil refineries, only 2 are currently operating without restrictions. Both are located far east of the Ural Mountains, in a part of Russia so remote that their output cannot easily reach the population centers and military operations in European Russia. In the words of Macro Advisory CEO Chris Weafer, one of the most respected independent energy analysts covering Russia, roughly 1/3 of Russia's entire refining capacity is currently offline. Russia's refinery throughput in June fell to 3.95 million barrels per day, the lowest level in over 2 decades, a drop of 25% compared to the same month last year. And Putin himself, for the first time, admitted publicly that Russia is facing what he called a certain deficit of fuel. The man who spent 4 years insisting the Russian economy was performing fine has now acknowledged on camera that the fuel is running out. Now, let's look at what that means on the ground, because the Ufa strike and the Penza strike are not happening in isolation. In Irkutsk, in Siberia, the Russian National Guard was deployed to fuel stations, not to serve customers, to prevent violence. Residents were stabbing each other's tires, drilling holes in fuel tanks, fighting at the pumps, waiting times of 9 to 12 hours before police intervention, reduced to 2 to 3 hours after. That is what Russia considers an improvement. The fuel shortages have now spread to more than 50 Russian regions. And here is the detail that most analysts are not yet discussing. Russia's central statistics agency, Rosstat, has just stopped publishing its weekly data on fuel prices and regional availability. The report that tracked exactly where the shortages were worst and how fast prices were rising, canceled, without explanation. When a government stops reporting on a crisis it used to report on, that is not a sign the crisis is improving. The significance of Rosstat's silence is hard to overstate. For months, that weekly report was the only independent data source inside Russia, tracking exactly how bad the regional fuel situation had become. Russian investigative journalists, Western analysts, and ordinary citizens all relied on it to understand what was actually happening outside the state media bubble. Canceling it doesn't make the problem disappear. It just means that the next time a region runs completely dry, there will be no official record to measure how bad it was. Russia is not managing a fuel crisis. It is managing the perception of a fuel crisis, and losing even that battle. Now, let's look at the Penza strike more carefully, because this is the part of the campaign that goes beyond fuel. The JSC Research Institute of Physical Measurements, NIIFI, is not a fuel facility. It is a precision engineering and research institution. part of Russia's military space and aviation sector. Its products are the nervous system of Russia's missile arsenal. Iskander guidance sensors, Kalibr guidance sensors, KH-101 guidance sensors. Without them, Russian missiles become, in effect, expensive fireworks. They may still cause damage, but the surgical precision that makes them militarily effective, gone. And this comes 1 week after Ukraine destroyed a major missile component plant in Voronezh. Key components for Iskander-M missiles, using specialized metallurgical equipment supplied by Western companies before sanctions and no longer available. Ukraine is not randomly striking Russian factories. It is mapping Russia's military supply chain, identifying the irreplaceable nodes, and hitting them in sequence. Then, Volgograd. The Barakati complex, which produces mobile launcher systems for Iskander, Yars, and Topol-M missiles, was struck by FP-5 Flamingo cruise missiles. OSINT analysis confirmed the detonation was directed inward, designed to destroy internal manufacturing equipment through the blast wave. The radial forging machine that Barakati depended on and supplied by Western companies no longer available may now be gone. Russia has one other such machine in the country. 3 strikes, Voronezh, Volgograd, Penza, in a single week. 3 separate links in Russia's long-range missile production chain, all hit, all damaged, all facing repair timelines measured in months or years, not days. And here's what makes that so consequential. Russia's missile production is not a redundant system with backup facilities. It is a highly centralized chain where specific components flow from specific factories to specific assembly points. Remove one factory and the chain doesn't slow down. It stops. And simultaneously, the Donetsk-Mariupol highway bridge was destroyed by a new generation FP-2 drone carrying a 200-kilogram warhead. That highway is part of the land corridor connecting Russia's southern regions to Crimea. Every week Russia runs this war, the infrastructure keeping it running gets smaller. This is the logic of the 40-day campaign. Not to win a battle, to make the factory that makes the weapons impossible to keep running. Zelensky has been explicit about this framing. He calls it long-range sanctions. Sustained economic pressure applied over time until the cost of continuing becomes higher than the cost of stopping. Sanctions compound. Every refinery that stays offline, every guidance sensor factory that stays dark, every bridge that stays down adds to a total that Russia cannot absorb indefinitely. Russia fired 5,749 drones and 180 missiles at Ukraine in June. That sounds like a lot, but compare it to May, down 29% for drones, 15% for missiles. The trend is not going in Russia's direction. And think about what that decline means in practice. Russia has used drone and missile barrages as its primary tool of pressure against Ukraine since 2022. If the number of strikes is falling, not because Russia is choosing restraint, but because the factories producing those weapons and the fuel needed to operate them are increasingly unavailable, then Ukraine's campaign is already achieving its strategic objective, not on some future timeline. Right now, in the numbers, in the fires. In the queues at Siberian gas stations, here is what makes July 1st, 2026 historically significant. On the same day, Ukraine struck the Ufa refinery and the Penza missile sensor plant. The CSIS study confirmed that this war has already cost 2 million soldiers their lives, their health, or their freedom. 2 million casualties, and Russia's missile factories are burning. Its fuel is running out. Its statistics agency has stopped counting. Its president has admitted the shortage is real. The factories that produce those weapons are burning one by one, week by week, on a schedule Ukraine designed and is executing with a precision that Roscosmos itself once would have admired. Day 6 of 40. The schedule is being kept, and the factories are still burning.